as the tension of the string at this end, weight is m1g. According to acceleration suggested, definitely it is going downward, so its motion will be downward, right? And based on this downward motion, your related equation will be m1g minus t, that is equal to m1 into a1. That you can write down equation 1, right? What you will write down for the motion of m2, whose acceleration is suggested a2 horizontal, being tension of the string has to be same throughout, right? So t must be along the string, but suggested motion of m2 is given horizontal, so oblique force cannot give horizontal acceleration, right? The according to F equals to ma relation, according to F equals to ma relation, whenever we use, we must take care about the applied force, and the achieved acceleration must always be parallel vectors, right? So to have that acceleration a2, t cannot take the responsibility, so that's why t should be resolved in components. So the components of t can be taken this way. This will be the component along the direction of a2, so that will take the responsibility of offering this acceleration, and t sine theta will be a force appearing perpendicular to the motion. According to FBD, if you draw the weight of the body, that is m2g downward, and there will be a normal contact force, let it be n, right? So n plus t sine theta, you can write down n plus t sine theta. These two forces together balancing just the weight of the body. You can write down it is a second equation, but that is of no use for us so as to get accelerations are concerned, right? So accelerating providing force is t cos theta. So for t cos theta, I can write down t cos theta is equal to m2 into a2, right? So for us, equation 1 and 3 are useful. But again, we are trapped to that same condition as I said it in the previous case. There also the primary two equations, that this part and this part, gave us, right, the three unknowns in two equations, isn't it or not? So difficult, practically impossible to solve the unknowns. Then here also, I mean, like according to the diagram and the corresponding equations what we can form, that leads us to the same situation, that we reach to a situation of three unknowns available in two mathematical relations, right? So that means there's simple mathematical logic suggests that we need to reduce it to two unknowns. Out of the three unknowns, t, a1 and a2, based on equation 1, and because even if you think about getting t from equation 2, so it is not possible, because n is also one more unknown in that equation. In equation 2, right, equation 2, though it is not an motion offering equation, so here again two unknowns are there, so you can't get t from equation 2 alone, right? So that you can use it in equation 1 and 3 to develop the relation of a1 and a2. Are you getting me or not? Fine. So we have to establish the relation between a1 and a2, right? So again, we will use the same concept that for a light and inextensible string, light and inextensible, right? For a light and inextensible string, its length will remain constant. Its length will remain same. That is constant, right? So whenever a string will be constant in length, right? So this is again a fixed position in this diagram. Is this position is going to change with the change of position of m1 and m2? Is it going to change? No, right? Correct. So that means again I can say one thing, that if I assume this portion, let it be a length of x, and this portion assumed to be a length of y, can I say x plus y is equal to L? So again, always we will divide the string, right? Total length we will try to express in variable portions, and the variable portion should always be measured with respect to a fixed reference in that situation. In every situation there will be a fixed reference. You just need to know how to consider the fixed one according to the situation. That you will get it gradually, okay, once you will be able to solve problems one after another. So here x plus y, that can be considered to be L, right? Yes or no? So here I can see along with the motion, if the motion as per considered, if m1 goes down, so this x will gradually increase, and obviously correspondingly the y will be keep on decreasing. But then this time there will be a problem with the previous diagram. Again, going back to the previous diagram to to tell you that where the difference will come. Here the x was increasing and y was decreasing, but both change was taking place on the same line. So that's why directly relating x and y was easy. But here in this case, the motion is taking place. The change of x will be definitely along the path of motion of m1, but the change of y, suppose if I want to represent two instantaneous position of, suppose one after some time when m1 reaches here, right, descending some distance, m2 can be expected to be reaching here. You can see here the length of x is changing, but x is not changing its locus. The measurement of x is changing by magnitude, but locus is not changing. Locus means path. But here, once the m2 will move rightward, the position of string is not only changing its length, rather it is changing that geometrical angle also, isn't it? The more it will move, the more it will keep on changing that angle. So you always need to keep one point in your mind: movement of the ends of the string, movements of the ends of the string must be equal. Movement of the ends of the string must be equal along the length of the string, at respective ends. What does it mean? What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this line is, when I'm saying that movement of the ends of the string must be equal along the length of the string at respective end. So ends of the strings are like this. These are the two ends. So if this end moves by some s distance, this end also should move by equal distance s along the length of the string at that end. Got it? But in actual situation, this end is not moving along the length of the string, but it is, according to the question, it is moving along this direction, which is at an angle theta. So if the ends are moving by equal absolute distance traveling at the respective end, so that means the velocities at the ends must again be same at both ends. If this ends moves with velocity v, this end will also move along the string with the same velocity v. Right, because if displacement relations differentiation will give velocity, if the two ends are supposed to move equal at the ends along the position of the string at their respective end. That's what I've written. Along the length of the string at respective ends. At this end the string is this, so it will move along the string. At this end the string position is this, so it should move along the string. Are you getting me? And in the same way, if it is moving a in this direction, it should have an a acceleration moving this. This is the meaning of how to equate the either displacement or velocity or accelerations at the movable end of the string. Are you getting me? But in our actual situations, we do not have the acceleration along this direction, that we do not know, but we do know the acceleration along this direction, which is at an angle theta. And at the other end, we do know the acceleration at this end as a1, right? So now what you have to do, you just need to resolve a2 in two components. Are you getting me? Right. So it will be a2 cos theta along this direction, and it will be a2 sin theta along this direction. So what did I say? Along the string, the acceleration must be same. So at this end along the string it is a1, at the other end along the string it is a2 cos theta. So that means this implies that the relation of a1 will be equal to a2 cos theta. This is the relation. Right. So now if you can use this relation, are you getting me or not? If you can use this relation in the equations that we have written here, and then simultaneously solving them, you can first eliminate t between equations 1 and 3, and you can get that. That means in equation 3, suppose it was t cos theta, that was m2a2. So according to this relation, can you write down a2 is equal to a1 by cos theta? So you can write down this is A1 by cos theta. So now you can see, if you frame it up as equation 4, now you can solve 1 and 4, both are available in A1. So then eliminating t, you can get the value of A1. Once you know the value of A1, you know you can write down about A2 as well.